Hello. So I had a request to take a look at an example with how we would use Turtle and still organize all of our code into functions. This is a great question. Many of our Turtle functions aren't actually going to return anything. They're just going to do a little job for us. So the first thing we need to do is import Turtle, and this can be outside of a function because it's okay for comments and import statements to be outside of a function, but everything else should be inside of a function. So let's say we want a helper function that is going to draw a blue circle for us. So we can call this def draw blue circle. And some of the things we might need to draw a blue circle is we might need, the radius that we're going to give to the turtle function or to the draw circle function in order to know how big the circle is going to be. We also may want to know where we want to put this. So let's take an x and y coordinate as to where the user actually wants to draw this blue circle. So the first thing we would need to think about doing is, of course, we need to set a fill color. So we'll do fill color blue because we're going to make blue circles. When we're going to draw a circle, we need to make sure that we remember to begin fill, and then we'll actually draw the circle, and then we're going to end fill. That's how we get the blue circle. But we also want to make sure that we're going to go where it is we want to go, and we want to draw our circles in the same way. So let's set our mode, and this is code that we should probably still put in a function. Let's call it a setup function, and all of that's going to happen when we call this is, we're going to have some, if we wanted to create a screen, if we wanted to set a background picture, a background color, those kind of things, we can put that all in our setup function. So let's go ahead and we're going to start in standard mode. And then every time we draw our circle, let's make sure we're at the right heading. So let's do a set heading. And we'll do 90 degrees. So with standard, this should be either to the right or up and down. We'll run that and kind of figure out where that is. So but either way, we just want to make sure that the setting is always the same. The heading that we set is always the same before we start to draw the circle, so that our circles will all be drawn in the same way, just in a different position and at a different size. So after we've done that, then we can go ahead and let's actually go to the coordinates. So let's say turtle.pin up, and we're going to go turtle.go to x and y. So whatever coordinates we send to this function, we're going to go to those coordinates. Then we're going to say turtle.pin down. We should be in the right direction that we want. We're going to start filling, and then we'll say turtle.circle with the radius that we're given. So hopefully this will work the way we intend it. We've got to test it out though. So we got to make a main function for us to test it with. And let me just go ahead and set this. And I'm going to make a call to main at the end. So when the interpreter runs, it's going to import our Turtle libraries. It's going to set up all of these function definitions in memory and RAM. And then we're going to actually run the main function. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's telling me I need to save it. So I'll just call this turtle functions, and I'm just looking for any syntax errors. So the fact that all of the definitions went through without an error means I don't have any syntax errors. Now I could have runtime errors, I could definitely have logic errors, but at least I know that all the definitions were set up correctly in memory, so I don't have any obvious syntax errors. So now let's go ahead and put some code in main, and let's just go ahead and make a call to our draw blue circle function, and I'm going to send it a radius of maybe 50, and let's go to 20, 20. So we're in the upper right quadrant of turtle. So this is going to make a call to our, there we go, to our our turtle. So we went to 2020 and then we drew a radius of 50 blue circle and filled it in. So now we could call this more than once if we wanted to. So we could draw another blue circle. So let's draw blue circle. And let's do this one smaller. Let's make it a radius of 25. And I'm going to go to negative 100, negative 100. So this should take us over to the lower left quadrant where x's and y's are negative and draw us a blue circle in that. So now we'll have two blue circles. So here we go. We've got our first blue circle. We have a problem. So draw blue circle. I misspelled it. So you can spell the names of your functions however you want. You just have to be consistent. So I have a runtime error here. There we go. And run. Here is our first blue circle, and there is our second blue circle. So the pen lifted up, moved over at negative 100, negative 100, and drew us a circle with a radius of 25, so half the size of our larger circle. And this is a really important point because you'll notice I don't have any return values to these functions. My function just performs a job, and many of the helper functions you write won't necessarily return anything to the user. It can return stuff to the user, but in Python you don't have to return a value. A value does get returned. It's actually called none. So if I printed this, if I print this function call, because there is no return, it actually returns the null value called none. And you're going to see that in the shell, it's actually going to print N-O-N-E. So let's run this. Here we go. Here we're going to draw our circles, 1, 2, and look right here, it printed none because the default return when you don't return anything is just that none keyword, which represents a null value in Python and is the default return value if you don't actually return anything. Lots of times we'll return things from our functions, sometimes we won't. I mean, we could just have a function. Let's see. Oh, and we did forget to run our setup here to make sure we were in standard mode. I'm always in standard mode, so I was anyways, but it's good to call and do that setup. And here I could also do something like turtle dot, let's see, I need a screen. Screen1 equals turtle dot screen. So I'm going to make myself a screen. And then let's say screen one.bg color, and let's make it yellow. Be nice and bright, and we'll see how this works. All right, but another function we could have written is just some sort of a welcome. It doesn't take anything, but maybe we just print, you know, welcome to the circle drawing program. And I forgot some quotes here. And so we can do our setup and then we can call our welcome. Let's see how this works for us. All right, so here we go. You see it printed welcome to the circle drawing program. Now we've got a background color of yellow, and now we've got two blue circles, and it's printed out none because we printed this function call. And there's really no reason to print this function call because this function's whole purpose is to draw some circles for us. We could include, now we could ask the users for some input. Maybe let them choose where to put a circle and how big they would like it to be. So we're going to draw two circles for them. And then let's see, let's do, let's call this radius is equal to float input, enter a circle radius. And then we'll say our x1 is equal to float input, enter the x coordinate. I have no idea if that's actually how you spell coordinate, but if I were going to give this to users, I would look that up. So let's do float input. And we'll ask for a y coordinate from the user. Enter the y coordinate. Just have some fun with our program. And now we're going to go ahead and make another call to draw a blue circle. And this time I'm going to be careful to spell it correctly. And I can send it whatever the user inputted and saved inside of Radius. I can send it the x1 coordinate that the user gave me and the y1 coordinate the user gave me. And so now my program is more interactive, and it's going to draw the two circles that I've already given it, and it's going to have a different circle every time for the third circle based on what the user is going to input for us. So here we've got our two circles. It said welcome, and now we're going to enter a circle radius. So let's do 150. We'll make a really big one, and then let's make this in the upper left. So that's going to be a negative x coordinate. Let's do negative 200, and it's going to be a positive y coordinate. So let's do positive 200 and enter and take a look at our drawing. And there it is, our big giant blue circle up in the upper left quadrant. It's got a radius of 150, and it's at the x coordinate negative 200, 200. And we're having fun here drawing some circles. So we could add some other things. Once we get to loops, we can put in a loop and let them draw as many circles as they want to, and do some other really cool stuff. So I hope this helps with, as we're getting into functions, kind of seeing the power and the cool, amazing stuff that we can do with functions, and sort of starts to give you a hint at just how powerful this is going to be for being able to organize our code. And as we're going to get into more complex programs, we're going to have a much easier time keeping our programs organized and being able to modify them and build onto them. So, all right, happy programming.